Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Again, depending on where you are in the world, as I wait for my guest to turn on their camera. Uh, my name is Vidur, and I am the Chief Executive Officer at CARPL.ai. And this is the Unboxing AI webinar series by CARPL, episode number, believe it or not, 53. So we've been doing this almost 53 weeks in a row. And if you don't know what the Unboxing AI webinar series is, well, then how did you get here? But still, it's every week we at Carpel call one of our friends, collaborators, partners, customers, somebody super smart to come share their views, discuss their problems with us, answer some of your questions. And today we're very lucky to have dear friend Vijay Ramanathan. We'll get into Vijay's background soon. If you don't know what CARPL is, well, we are your friendly neighborhood AI platform, helping you connect with this entire ecosystem of amazing AI companies out there. Some helping you auto report scans, some helping you triage stroke CTs, some helping you read prostate MRs, what have you. So we bring the entire ecosystem of clinical radiology AI into your clinical workflows through a single user interface, a single data channel, and a single procurement channel, allowing you to build, test, deploy, and monitor all of these cool solutions in your clinical workflows. With that, I would like to welcome my guest today, Vijay Ramanathan. Vijay, thank you for coming. Means a lot. We recently announced our partnership with RamSoft, and Vijay is the CEO and co-founder at RamSoft. Co-founded RamSoft 30 years ago when he was 17, or maybe lesser. I don't know. You look much lesser, Vijay. so, uh, 30 years ago, had the privilege of founding it with his father, who was Dr. Ram, and that's where RamSoft. Uh, and he was pursuing his BSc in computer engineering at the University of Waterloo, where he and his brother, who I may say is much smarter than maybe a lot of us put together, Shiva, created the first version of RamSoft's. They didn't even call it PACS; they just called it Medical Image Management Software. Um, Today, he leads the vision for PowerServer. We'll hear about that. RamSoft's flagship cloud-based RISPACS platform. Um, many other accomplishments to Vijay's name, but I think the one that I am most fond of is the fact that Vijay, your first RSNA was when you were 17. Do they
Yeah.
even let 17-year-old in?
Technically, the official RSNA rules
Yeah.
actually require you to be 16, right? So I,
Oh.
I was officially legal at RSNA. My brother Shiva during his first RSNA actually had to break the rules, right? Like he he was 15 at the start of his first RSNA. He actually attended the year after,
Wow.
and he actually had his 16th birthday during RSNA.
So
Uh,
both of you guys, so that was going to be the
yeah,
second fun fact, but both of you guys have your birthdays during RSNA every year.
yeah, exactly, right. It's you know,
My God.
seeing, especially given my first RSNA at 17, right? I've had the vast majority of my birthdays in Chicago at RSNA.
Beautiful weather, I must say.
Right?
No, but that's amazing. So I wanted to, I don't know if this is disclosure of PHI or not, but Vijay's birthday happens on 2nd December. So, everybody who's on this webinar now is obligated to wish him and maybe even buy him a gift during RSNA if you're there. But that's
Yeah,
incredible. So what was
I think
RSNA like back then, Vijay? Like, what was informatics a thing? Like take us back.
so, it such a stark difference in radiology back in 1994 compared to today, right? So 1994, PACS was sort of it was a theoretical concept,
Hmm.
right? Like, yes, there were some early software programs developed, that sort of predated even the DICOM standard, right? So DICOM standard, as we know it today, 1998, right? So now
Oh.
we're going back 4 years prior to the modern DICOM standard, right? And
Hmm.
so really at that time, PACS was, more of a dream than a reality. What was actually there was early teleradiology software programs, right? So that was available in 1994. And
Wow.
and
So
and the way they worked, there was
internet
no digital
existed
standard,
in 1994.
right?
No, internet existed, like internet
So
to the extent that.
internet existed. Nobody had access to the internet. Let's put it that way, right?
Correct, exactly.
So we had there were really two things, right? There was CompuServe and America Online, right? With
Wow.
dial-up internet
Yeah.
that existed. In 1994, RamSoft was actually one of the first companies globally. I mean, not even just medical software companies. We were actually one of the first companies to put up a website. Like this
Oh,
was,
wow.
one of the fun things that I got to do as a teenager was write HTML code and manually. Again, there were zero tools, right?
Wow.
Manually create a website and put it up there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Omar
I
seems
see
to
the
have
comment
his
from Omar that he
CompuServe
still has
account.
his CompuServe account. Right?
Wow, because I remember I was like very, very privileged, right? I got my first computer in 96, I think, and then internet in 97. And it was dial up, and you had to pay for phone plus pay for internet, but we would steal passwords from here and there. But it would be a huge deal if I would get speed in excess of 1 kbps. Like it would be like, oh
Correct.
my god, internet so fast, let's download a song. It'll only take 2 days. So
Correct. So look, when we kind of first started, I mean, this was it was kind of step one. It
yeah,
was actually kind of a revolutionary thing to, and this was frame grabbing an ultrasound image or,
yeah.
for X-ray. This is what
Wow.
was colloquially, this is what we all called camera on a stick, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You had a light box, you had an apparatus with a camera, taking a picture of that X-ray and bringing it in the computer, right? And
Wow.
just storing on a PC.
So there was no CR, there was like CR
No, no, no,
system
no.
and stuff like
Well,
that.
so there were, so actually in the 80s, my father, known as Dr. Ram, right? He was at Picker,
Mhm.
and he was the lead on the team that invented the first mass market digital chest X-ray machine that went to every significant hospital in the world,
Wow.
right? And so so digital CR was there, right?
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
not universally, but it was there.
yeah,
But guess what? There was no way to get digital images
yeah.
out of the CR. There was no DICOM standard.
Oh, so you would have to take a picture of the screen of sorts. Or
Yeah,
you would
so
BMP, JPG, like, something like that.
yeah, I mean, but so they had all those things, but the quality was still kind of
Uh,
hit and miss and sort of poor, right? And so
yeah, images
kind of the
themselves were poor,
reality.
right? Like,
Yeah. So, but the reality was we would actually take the film from the light box,
Yeah,
right? And put a camera on it
yeah,
and take a picture, because then you could adjust window and level
yeah,
on the light box
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and take a picture of it, right? And make sure you got a
Interesting.
good picture, right?
Nice.
Because
No,
if you take a picture,
Vijay, so just, because I can keep talking to you about this stuff for
oh yeah, we
hours,
could go on forever.
like we do every time. But specific to today's theme, when you were going out and selling, let's just call it PACS version 0, uh, were there naysayers? And like, how did you deal with it? And can you like maybe, extrapolate that to like how obvious PACS is today? And maybe, uh, how there's like, a lot of naysayers in AI today, and, like some parallels there.
Oh, 100%. Look, you know, and, and there were numerous, numerous reasons for naysayers in radiology, in 1994 to PACS, right? And all very, very good reasons as to why PACS was not going to actually succeed, right? And number one problem was need industry standards, right? DICOM solved that problem in 1998, but standard being created in 1998 actually solved the problem in the field maybe 5 years later, right? Because their vendors had to upgrade their equipment, right? So it's one thing, okay, all new MRIs follow the DICOM standard, right? But then everyone needed to upgrade, right? So
Yeah.
so there's a curve, and but the number one objection to PACS from a radiologist, which perfectly justified, right, initially, was who is going to hang my films correctly, right? Like that was a big issue, right?
Yeah.
Because so, kind of state of the art was they had these, massive light boxes that had these like basically rotating light boxes, right? And so assistants would hang, maybe 100, maybe like 20, 30 cases with current studies, prior studies, and they would hang the films correctly on the light box. So a radiologist could just sit there and go through all those studies, right? So it
Wow.
actually took a lot of work for the assistant to actually hang the films, get
Yeah.
the currents, priors, etc. Right? So initial PAC systems did not have any of that, right? Hanging protocols
Mm.
had to be created, right?
Rented.
They had
Yeah.
to be, and then there was the issue of, okay, but now, great, my current studies are now coming on PACS, but now what about the priors, right?
Yeah.
Priors are still on film, right?
Yeah.
And, there
Oh,
was actually a simple solution to that is
yeah.
wait a couple of years, right?
All priors will be on PACS.
All priors will be on film, right? Like,
Yeah.
because again, there were very expensive solutions, right?
Yeah.
You could use a film digitizer and all this kind of stuff, right? But
Yeah.
if we sort of look at who RamSoft catered to in the early days,
Yeah.
this was private practice radiologists, right?
Mm.
Outpatient imaging centers, radiologists that were doing teleradiology, emergency room, hospital reads. These were our customers, right? And, you know,
Yeah.
most of them were small customers, right? Like we catered to, so one of the things that I think was sort of unique, right? And to this day, we don't treat any customer as too small or too big, right?
Yeah.
RamSoft actually, the one thing that our father taught us early on is this is healthcare.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to solve the same problem, right? This is healthcare. So it is not appropriate for us to pick and choose who we are going to serve as customers because somebody is being denied healthcare if we make that decision, right? Like, we need to actually find a way, as difficult as it is, we need to serve everyone, right? Because we're actually solving a fundamental problem, right? And
Yeah.
so if we sort of look at AI today, a lot of these same problems exist, right? Like, I think the biggest thing that we need to do with AI and radiology is democratize it, right?
Yeah.
We need to find a way to deliver the same technology that is being used at academic institutions to help
Everyone.
radiologists.
Yeah. Yeah.
We need to deliver that to everyone, right?
Yep.
That is actually our mission, and at RamSoft, and
Yeah.
this is why I'm actually very pleased to be working with you on this mission, right? Because we kind of share the same thoughts on this, right? Is
Yeah.
in order for to say AI is successful at helping radiologists, it is not sufficient if
Yeah.
AI is successful at helping radiologists at Mass General,
Correct. Exactly. Yes.
right?
Yeah.
That actually, we are, at that point we are solving like what, 0.01% of the healthcare need in the planet, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas the moment we can say AI is now being used
Yeah.
by greater than 50% of radiologists, across the planet, not only just across the United States, but across the planet, that is what we need to achieve, right?
Yeah. No, and I think Vijay, that's very, very pertinent. And in fact, one observation that we've had is that traditionally in medicine, adoption of new technology does go from the mass generals of the world to the to the others, if I may say so, right? Interestingly, in situations where AI makes, say, a general radiologist as good as a specialist at, say, detecting like lung nodules or something like that, what we've noticed is intuitively we try to follow the same framework, right? We will go to an MGH and we will say, hey, super radiologist at MGH who's only does thoracic CT scans for the last 30 years. I am going to try to make you better than what you were. And, it becomes such a difficult sell to them, and thereby the adoption kind of stalls a little bit, is what we've seen, because the idea is not to, that is a tool that is not meant for the MGH radiologist, but is meant for a general radiologist doing teleradiology or something like that. And it just
Yeah, and where the tool actually has even a bigger impact is, emergency rooms
yeah,
where
correct, or maybe
radio
not for a radiologist, right?
you
Like
don't even
a
have to wait for the
Yeah,
radiologist.
yeah, correct, correct. No, so tell me one thing, Vijay. Can you talk a little bit about what is PowerServer? I myself am very curious to know, what is PowerServer? How is it different from the traditional RamSoft offering? And then also, like, how is Omega AI kind of packaged into the whole situation? Like, uh, in fact, it's sad that I don't know, but yeah.
Sure, not a problem either. So you know, PowerServer is sort of the the our flagship cloud enabled PACS offering that RIS and PACS offering that is being used at several hundred different accounts. We're thousand, well over a few thousand radiologists are using this solution today to diagnose imaging studies every day,
Yeah.
right? Omega AI is our newer, fully cloud native solution. And, you know, cloud native solutions actually open up several opportunities, right?
Mhm.
And the biggest one is when we roll out something new on Omega AI, instantly it can become available
To everyone.
to
Yeah.
every single user of the platform, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, AI was really the driving force for us to create this platform because, look, whatever AI algorithms are available today, they're going to be junk compared to 3 months from now, compared to 6 months from now, compared to 1 year from now, right? And, so the way we see it is the only obsolescence proof solution is a platform that
Yeah.
can be updated continuously, provide the best and greatest tools to our users, right? And we see this as a transition that will happen over the next few years, right? Is if we look at even 5 years from now, we can imagine all of our clients, all of our users are going to be using the Omega AI platform because the advancements are just going to be so rapid, right? In terms of what can be achieved. And it really is AI driven enhancements to the practice of radiology. Um,
But Vijay, tell me
I think
one
the only
thing,
way to deliver that.
as we go about, and maybe this is minor digression, but I'd love to know your opinion. As we go about, selling to at least some of the larger health system, larger radiology providers, there is this inherent conservatism associated with sending data to cloud, using like a multi-tenant system, etc. Like, how do you overcome that uh, apprehension?
Sure. Well, look, Vidar, every meaningful technology transition comes with apprehension, right? And for good reason, right?
You should write that on
Uh,
the wall.
Perfectly good reason, right? So,
Yeah.
look, I see this as very similar to first the apprehension of going from film to PACS, right? Then we had the apprehension of going from a local server to a data center, call it private cloud, public cloud, but single tenant kind of cloud
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
um, happens. And then now we are talking multi-tenant cloud, right? So every single tech transformation is difficult. There are challenges. And, the way I see it is that is actually our problem to solve, right? That is, RamSoft would not exist today. Like, we would not be here 30 years into radiology if I did not love to solve these problems, right? This, to me, I see this as a challenge and an opportunity. And if we look back a few years from now,
Yeah.
the challenge will be forgotten by everyone except for those who actually had to overcome the challenge in the
Yeah.
trenches, right? And
Yeah.
to me, look, this is actually what has me so inspired and excited about the future, right?
Yeah.
Is these challenges are fun to solve. We
Yeah.
will solve them. And the entire industry will be better as a result of these solutions, right? And, you know, the beautiful thing today, right, is in addition to people like me who have been solving these challenges for 30 years, we've got we've got people like you that have joined us to solve the challenges going forward, right?
No, that's incredible. Thank you for saying that, Vijay. It means a lot. Uh, yeah, Peter says Vijay has a twisted sense of fun.
Yeah, this is true.
So, no, so I think we're in the last, few minutes of the webinar. Guys, please ask your questions. You can use the Q&A chat box. There's a question, Vijay, from BS in the chat box. They ask, unless there is democratization at the equipment level, uh, how can it be in AI? I guess maybe this is alluding to your comment about DICOM. Um, but maybe, talk about how standardization of AI can lead to that democratization from your standpoint.
Yeah, look, the way I see it is democratization, there's kind of a push and a pull when it comes to that sort of between AI and equipment, right? So, um, one of the things that AI is going to enable is cheaper and cheaper equipment, right?
Mhm.
Because there's a lot of intelligence that is currently embedded into medical imaging equipment today, right? What do you think differentiates equipment from one vendor to another, right? So if we look at, you know, GE versus Siemens, right? What actually differentiates is the software
Yeah,
at the end of the day. I mean, yes, there are some differences in technology, but
yeah,
software is sort of the big differentiator, right? And AI.
yeah.
Okay. So one of the things that I see is as independent AI vendors continue to improve algorithms, etc., it's actually going to lessen the need for sophisticated AI and software algorithms, filters, etc., on the equipment
Hmm.
itself, right? And so,
Yeah.
kind of, if we
So
look
what you're
at
saying
what
is essentially we can take the intelligence out of the equipment
yes,
and into the packs, which is something, that we've been advocating for a while now, like stuff like your super resolution, your deep learning based recon, your,
yes,
ultra low dose CT using AI and stuff like that. That's an opportunity for packs providers. If I may just, call you a packs provider, where you're much more than that, but a packs provider to start capitalizing on, some of the value that is typically maybe created by equipment vendors, right? Which uh, is also like a quick segue to Rob's question, who asks, as a PACS provider, how important is AI in PACS? Thank you, Rob,
yeah.
for putting us back to track.
Well, and look, this kind of all segues together, right? Because look, if we look at how we democratize everything, right? The way we democratize equipment is to make it less costly, right? And the way we make equipment less costly is we move more of the intelligence into AI and embed it into packs, right? And away from the equipment itself, right? And why do we want to do this, right? It's the same reason we wanted the DICOM standard, because all of these things make the equipment cheaper, right? And at the end of the day, if we can make the equipment more of a commodity, right? More vendors are going to be able to produce equipment, right? Prices are going to come down. They're going to
Yep.
become more affordable. I mean, we're already starting to see it. Like, if we look back 1994, all good medical imaging equipment was produced in a small number of countries,
Yeah.
right? There were
Yep.
a small number of companies, small
Yep.
number of countries. Um, there was no such thing as medical equipment being produced in China or India, right?
Yeah.
It didn't exist. It wasn't possible, right?
Yep.
And so this is the shift that we see happening, and you know this is completely going to change the scope and responsibility of PACS, right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, what to a user, right? What is PACS is everything that happens after the equipment, once they send the data from the equipment, push it out via
Yeah.
DICOM,
Yep.
everything else that happens becomes within the scope and responsibility of PACS, right?
Yeah.
So this includes all of the AI, right? Everything CARPL does is
Yeah.
sort of lumped into PACS, right?
Yeah.
You know, CARPL is not a PACS vendor, but at
Yeah.
the end of the day, CARPL is PACS, right? Like
Yeah.
it is all PACS the moment the data comes out of the
Yep.
MRI or out of the
No,
CT.
and I think Vijay, even from our standpoint, like we've been very explicit about it. Like we think of ourselves as almost a a part of PACS, right? Like a
Yes.
an embedded product slash, I don't like the word plugin, but yeah, something like that within PACS that essentially serves as a window to all of the world's AI. And Yeah, no, thank you, Vijay. We try to stick to time, but there's one question from Srinivas. Maybe we could quickly answer it. I've worked with a couple of AI. How will this help radiology? Is it for any particular body part, like only chest, or any other body part you are working on? So maybe I can take a quick shot at it, Vijay. So Srinivas, we are essentially an AI platform, and Vijay's company is a PACS company. So we don't work on specific body parts, but we have a range of AI applications, almost 175 applications that are created by other companies that are part of our platform that we provide to the users of RamSoft. It's like almost like Inception. It's like, a tool within a tool within a tool. So,
Yeah, and look, I think the beautiful thing about all this, right, is all of this gets integrated
yeah,
into a zero-click AI environment, right? Where,
exactly,
the
exactly.
AI is
Exactly.
set up, it works, requires 0 clicks from a
Yeah,
radiologist, and only when required, there's a small widget that appears on the screen
yeah,
that a user can click where you can sort of go in and actually look at more details on what the AI is doing, right? But
yeah,
the to me that's the beautiful aspect of our solution,
yep,
right? Is AI is all under the hood. You open up a study in RamSoft, whether it's PowerServer or OmegaAI as usual, and AI findings are just visible.
yeah. Thank you, Vijay. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I think this has been one of the most widely attended webinars of ours. And I will see you all next week, same time. But thank you, Vijay. Means a lot, man. Thank you.
Thank you, Vidher. Highly appreciate it.
Goodbye.